Roy stared at the odd metal container on his messy desk, its surface reflecting the San Francisco afternoon sun. It felt like a taunt, another strange relic from his eccentric grandpa, who'd passed away the previous month. Fantastic, another mysterious piece of junk, he muttered, running a hand through his messy dark hair. At 25, Roy had planned to spend his Saturday coding for his startup, not dealing with his grandfather's bizarre collection. The container was roughly the size of a football, its surface covered in strange symbols that appeared to shift and shimmer when he looked away. Unlike his grandfather's other odd items, this one felt different, almost as if it were alive. His phone buzzed with a message from his business partner. "Where's the debug patch?" "Investor meeting Monday." Roy sighed and pushed away from his desk. The capsule moved slightly, one of the symbols catching the light. Was it glowing? "Okay, that's new," he said, reaching for it. The moment his fingers touched the cool metal, the symbols erupted in a bright blue light. The capsule opened with a quiet hiss, releasing a burst of sparkling energy that formed into a human shape. Standing there was a woman unlike any he'd seen before. Her skin was a captivating deep blue that shimmered, dark hair cascading down her shoulders in gravity-defying waves. Her features were perfectly balanced, almost too perfect to be human. She wore what looked like a close-fitting suit of flowing silver material. "Whoa," Roy breathed, almost falling out of his chair. "So that's what extraterrestrial women look like." The woman's lips curved into an amused smile. "I am Lyra," she said, her voice like otherworldly music. "And you must be Alexander Rodriguez Chen, James Chen's grandson." "Just Roy," he managed, still staring. Are you actually an extraterrestrial?" "Yes, though I prefer the term interstellar being," she said gracefully, glancing around his small apartment. Her eyes lingered on his collection of sci-fi movie posters. "How intriguing. Your species has imagined us in many forms, but rarely accurately." Roy found himself standing, his programmer's mind struggling to process the impossible. "So my grandfather's capsule, it's some kind of interdimensional gateway?" "More than that," Lyra said, turning to face him. Her eyes shone with an inner light that made his heart flutter. "It's a key, a bridge between worlds. Your grandfather was its guardian, as were many before him." "Guardian?" "My grandfather was a retired history professor who collected strange artifacts and told fantastical stories." Roy's voice trailed off as realization hit. "Wait, those stories were true?" Lyra moved closer, and Roy caught a subtle scent, unlike anything on Earth, sweet yet unfamiliar. "Every one of them. The capsule has been guiding humanity for millennia, choosing specific individuals to receive its power. Julius Caesar, Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein, each was granted one request, one opportunity to alter the course of human history." "And now it's mine?" Roy's voice was slightly unsteady. "You are the last," Lyra said, her expression becoming serious. "Each use of the capsule has weakened the connection between our worlds. This is the final time it can be opened." Roy sank back into his chair, his mind reeling. "So, no pressure, right? Just the fate of human civilization resting on whatever I wish for." "Not just human civilization," Lyra corrected, perching on the edge of his desk. Her movement was so smooth, it seemed almost supernatural. "My world depends on this choice as well." "Great. Perfect. Exactly what I needed today, along with my debugging deadline," Roy muttered. Then a thought struck him. "Wait, what kind of wishes did the others make? I mean, what are we talking about? World peace? Unlimited energy?" Lyra's expression softened. Each wish was focused, specific. Caesar wished for the strength to unite Rome. Da Vinci for the vision to see beyond his time. Einstein for understanding of the universe's deepest laws. And they all, what, just trusted a mysterious alien artifact and its gorgeous blue messenger? Lyra's skin deepened slightly. Was she blushing? They understood the gravity of their choice, as must you. Roy stood and paced, his mind racing. Okay. Let me get this straight. I'm supposed to make some world-changing wish that will affect both our civilizations, but I've got no idea what the consequences might be. And this is our last shot at whatever this is. Essentially, yes, Lyra said, watching him with luminous eyes. And why me? Because my grandfather collected weird stuff? The capsule chooses its guardians carefully. Your grandfather saw something in you, something beyond your current circumstances. She glanced meaningfully at his cluttered desk and the half-empty energy drink cans. Yeah, well, Grandpa also thought his garden gnomes were secretly alive, so maybe not the best judge of character, Roy quipped, then immediately felt guilty. Sorry, this is a lot to process. Lyra stood and approached him, placing a hand on his shoulder. Her touch sent a tingling sensation through him. You have time to consider your choice, but not too much time. The connection grows weaker with each passing moment. Roy looked into her eyes, drawn into their depths. A crazy thought began forming in his mind. These wishes, they have to be about changing the world, advancing civilization. They must be significant, yes? Why do you ask? A grin spread across Roy's face. Because I think I might have an idea that breaks all the rules. Rourke glanced at the peculiar metal orb sitting on his cluttered desk, the San Francisco sun reflecting off its surface like a mocking glint. It was yet another baffling artifact left behind by his eccentric grandpa Joseph, who'd passed away just a month earlier. Wonderful, more mysterious junk, he grumbled, running a hand through his unruly brown hair. At 26, Rourke had envisioned his Saturday spent coding for his fledgling tech company, not sifting through his grandfather's bizarre hoard. The orb was about the size of a volleyball, its exterior covered with cryptic symbols that seemed to shift and shimmer whenever his gaze drifted. Unlike his grandfather's other strange possessions, this one felt different. Almost as if it pulsed with a hidden life. His phone vibrated with a text from his business partner, Lena, debug patch ETA? Investors on Tuesday. Rourke sighed, pushing away from his desk. The orb shifted slightly, a single symbol catching the sunlight. Was it illuminated? "Oh, that's weird," he muttered, reaching for it. The instant his fingertips brushed the cool metal, the symbols flared with an intense violet light. The orb unfolded with a low hiss, releasing a wave of shimmering energy that coalesced into a humanoid figure. Before him stood a woman unlike any he'd encountered. Her skin shimmered with a captivating shade of emerald green, her ebony hair cascading around her shoulders in gravity-defying ripples. Her features were exquisitely balanced, almost unnervingly flawless. She wore what seemed to be a form-fitting garment of flowing, iridescent material. Wow, Rourke exhaled, nearly tumbling from his chair. So that's what they look like. The woman's lips curved into a knowing smile. "I am Elara," she said, her voice like a celestial melody. "And you must be Aaron Rhodes Carson, Joseph Carson's grandson." "Rourke's fine," he stammered, still mesmerized. Are you really extraterrestrial?" "Indeed." "Although I prefer the term interstellar," she said gracefully, her eyes scanning his small apartment. She paused at his array of vintage comic book covers. "Intriguing. Your species has such a vibrant imagination, albeit often inaccurate." Rourke found himself on his feet, his logical programmer's mind struggling to reconcile the impossible. "So my grandfather's orb it's some sort of interdimensional doorway." "More than a doorway," Elara said, turning to face him. Her eyes held a luminous quality that made his pulse quicken. "It's a conduit, a link between realms. Your grandfather was its keeper, as were many before him." "Keeper?" "My grandfather was a retired librarian who collected odd trinkets and told outlandish tales." Rourke's voice trailed off as the truth dawned on him. "Wait, those stories were real?" Elara drifted closer, and Rourke detected a faint aroma, unlike anything earthly, floral and subtly spicy. "Every single one. The orb has been guiding humanity for eons, selecting certain individuals to wield its influence. Cleopatra, Michelangelo, Marie Curie, each was granted a single boon, a chance to shape the course of history. And now it's my turn?" Rourke's voice wavered. You are the last, Ilara said, her expression turning solemn. Each activation of the orb has diminished the bond between our worlds. This is the final time it can be opened. Rourke sank back into his chair, his mind reeling. So, no pressure then. Just the destiny of humanity resting on my shoulders. Not just humanity, Ilara corrected, perching gracefully on the edge of his desk. Her movements were so fluid they seemed almost ethereal. My world's fate is intertwined with this choice as well. Fantastic, just what I needed today. Besides my looming deadline, Rourke muttered. A thought struck him. What kind of boons did the others request? I mean, are we talking world peace? A cure for all diseases? Ilara's expression softened. Each boon was precise, targeted. Cleopatra sought the influence to unify Egypt. Michelangelo, the inspiration to create timeless masterpieces. Marie Curie, the insight to unlock the secrets of the atom. And they all just trusted a mysterious alien artifact and its stunning green messenger? Ilara's skin shimmered with a deeper hue. Was she flustered? They grasped the profound nature of their choice, as you must. Rourke stood and paced, his mind racing. Okay, let me get this straight. I have to make some monumental choice that impacts both our civilizations, but I have no clue about the potential ramifications. And this is our one and only shot. Essentially, yes, Ilara said, watching him with luminous eyes. And why me? The orb chooses its keepers judiciously. Your grandfather recognized something in you, a potential beyond your current circumstances. She cast a meaningful glance at his cluttered workstation and the stack of empty ramen containers. Well, Grandpa also believed squirrels held the secrets to the universe, so maybe not the best judge of character, Rourke quipped, instantly regretting his words. Sorry, it's just a lot to take in. Ilara rose and approached him, gently resting a hand on his shoulder. Her touch sent a shiver down his spine. You have time to contemplate your choice, though not an abundance of time. The connection wanes with each passing moment. Rourke gazed into her eyes, captivated by their depth. A peculiar idea began to take shape in his mind. These boons, they have to be about changing the world, making some grand gesture. They have to become important, right? Why do you ask? A mischievous grin spread across Rourke's face. Because I have a hunch I might have an idea that breaks all the conventions. The shimmering emerald glow of Ilara's skin seemed to intensify as Rourke voiced his unconventional wish. Understanding, she echoed, her voice a melodic whisper. A truly unique request. She turned towards the crystalline chamber's central console, a complex tapestry of light and symbols that pulsed with energy. The orb has never encountered such a desire before. It usually deals with ambitions of power, knowledge, tangible changes. Rourke shrugged, a nervous energy making him fidget. Yeah, well, I figure all those big wishes kind of messed things up, didn't they? Look at the state of the world. He gestured vaguely around his apartment, then winced, realizing she wasn't talking about his messy desk. I mean, Earth. History. Maybe a little less fix it and a little more figure it out is what we need. Ilara's expression was thoughtful. You propose a partnership, then? A shared exploration of our worlds, not to alter them, but to comprehend them? Exactly, Rourke said, his confidence returning. We could learn from each other, maybe even find a way to fix this whole weakening connection thing without resorting to some massive cosmic gamble. He paused, a thought striking him. Unless you're not into the whole interspecies learning exchange thing. No pressure or anything. He added hastily, immediately regretting the awkward phrasing. A subtle shift in Ilara's skin tone, a deepening of the emerald hue, suggested amusement. On the contrary, she said, her luminous eyes holding his. The prospect is intriguing. She approached the orb, which now pulsed with a gentle violet light. However, such a journey would not be without risk. Each activation weakens the connection further. And there are others who seek the orb's power for their own purposes. You may encounter them. Others? Rourke asked, a shiver running down his spine. Like bad guys? Not all who seek knowledge use it wisely, Ilara replied cryptically. Are you certain this is the path you wish to take? Rourke hesitated for a moment, glancing at his computer screen, at the lines of code he had been working on, at the life he knew. Then he looked back at Ilara, at the promise of the unknown reflected in her eyes. Yeah, he said, his voice firm. I'm in. As his hand touched the orb, a surge of violet energy enveloped them, pulling them away from the familiar and into the extraordinary. They materialized within the orb, which had transformed into a vast chamber of swirling lights and alien symbols. Welcome to the Nexus, Ilara said, her hand gently resting on his arm. The space between spaces. Rourke stared in awe, his programmer's mind struggling to comprehend the sheer complexity of the technology before him. This is, wow, he managed, feeling a strange mix of excitement and apprehension. Ilara smiled, her eyes sparkling. This is where our journey begins. From here, we can access any point in Earth's history or travel to my world. Where would you like to start? Before Rourke could answer, the chamber's lights flickered and a sharp alarm sounded. Ilara's expression turned serious. We are being tracked, she said, her fingers moving swiftly across a glowing console. The others, they have sensed the orb's activation. The bad guys? Rourke asked, his heart pounding. Ilara nodded. We must leave. Now. She grabbed his hand, and the chamber dissolved around them, plunging them into a dizzying rush of light and sound. They materialized in a bustling marketplace, the air filled with the scent of spices and unfamiliar sounds. Where are we? Rourke asked, disoriented. Constantinople, 1204, Ilara replied, her grip tightening on his hand. And we are not alone. Rourke's head throbbed, the after-effects of temporal displacement still lingering. He blinked, trying to focus on the bustling marketplace around him. The air was thick with the scent of unfamiliar spices and the clamor of a language he didn't recognize. Constantinople, 1204, Ilara said, her voice tight. And we have company. Before Rourke could process what she meant, figures clad in dark, archaic armor emerged from the crowd. Their movements were too precise, too coordinated for ordinary soldiers. Collectors, Ilara muttered, her grip tightening on his hand. They've sensed the orb's activation. The bad guys? Rourke asked, his heart pounding. They believe the orb's power should serve their own agenda, Ilara explained, pulling him deeper into the throng of people. We need to reach the Nexus. It's the only safe place to plan our next move. Nexus? Rourke repeated, dodging a fruit cart as they hurried through the crowded streets. The space between spaces, Ilara replied, her eyes scanning the crowd. A conduit created by the orb, allowing us to travel through time and space. They ducked down a narrow alleyway, the collectors close behind. So, back to my apartment? Rourke asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Not yet. The Nexus has multiple access points throughout history. We need to find one that isn't under their surveillance. Ilara stopped abruptly, her gaze fixed on a small, unassuming shop tucked between a bakery and a blacksmith. A symbol, similar to the ones on the orb, was etched discreetly above the door. Here, she said, pushing the door open. The interior was dimly lit, filled with shelves of strange artifacts and dusty tomes. An old woman with piercing blue eyes looked up from behind a cluttered counter. You're expected, she said, her voice raspy. Thank you, Keeper, Ilara replied, a subtle shift in her skin tone suggesting relief. The collectors are close behind. The Keeper nodded. The Nexus awaits. But be warned, the path is not without its perils. She gestured to a shimmering portal that had opened at the back of the shop. It pulsed with violet light, swirling with cryptic symbols. Time is fractured within the Nexus. You may encounter echoes of the past, shadows of the future. Stay close. As they stepped through the portal, Rourke felt a disorienting rush of energy. He stumbled, his programmer's mind struggling to comprehend the sudden shift in reality. They found themselves in a vast, ethereal chamber, filled with swirling nebulae and constellations he'd never seen before. The orb, now pulsing with a soft violet glow, floated at the center of the chamber. "Welcome to the Nexus," Ilara said, her voice echoing strangely in the vast space. "From here, we can access any point in time, any world connected to the orb's network." Before Rourke could respond, a ripple of energy disturbed the chamber's tranquility. The collectors materialized before them, their armor shimmering in the otherworldly light. "The orb will be ours," their leader hissed, his voice distorted by a metallic mask. Ilara stepped forward, her emerald skin now radiating an intense light. "You will not claim what you do not understand," she said, raising her hand. The orb pulsed in response, projecting a wave of energy that sent the collectors staggering back. "The Nexus is not yours to command." "We are not alone," Rourke whispered, pointing to other figures emerging from the swirling nebulae. Their forms were varied, some humanoid, others unlike anything he could comprehend. They watched the confrontation with an unsettling silence. "These are the others," Ilara explained, her eyes narrowed. "Those who seek the orb's power. Some are driven by knowledge, others by conquest. And now, we must choose our allies wisely." The crystalline halls of the source shimmered, a kaleidoscope of reformed timelines swirling across its walls. "It's hard to believe it's only been a month, Earth time," Rourke said, watching the intricate patterns of history settle into their corrected positions. His partnership with Ilara had deepened with each adventure, evolving from hesitant flotation into something profoundly meaningful. "Time is a relative concept," Ilara replied, her emerald skin glowing with familiar patterns Rourke had come to cherish. She stood closer than necessary, their shoulders brushing. "Especially when you're rewriting it." "Is that an Einstein joke?" "Because I'm pretty sure we had tea with him last week." "Actually, that was next week." "Temporal mechanics, remember?" Their laughter reverberated through the chamber, but a current of anticipation ran beneath it. They both knew this chapter was closing. The architect's presence manifested around them, less daunting now that its purpose was understood. "The timeline is secure. The collector's technology has been purged from history's critical junctures." "And my civilization?" Ilara prompted, her hand seeking Rourke's. "The connection between our worlds is fortified, thanks to your unprecedented partnership," the presence responded, its tone almost amused. "Though perhaps not in the way we envisioned." Rourke felt Ilara's fingers tighten around his. "What now?" he asked. "Do we return to our separate realities, pretending none of this ever happened?" "That would be the standard procedure. The test is concluded. The barriers between worlds should be reinstated," the presence acknowledged. "But," Ilara interjected, a thread of hope in her voice, "never in our observations has a test subject made a wish like yours, Rourke Carson. You chose understanding over power, connection over control." The chamber filled with swirling images of their shared journeys. "And in doing so," the presence continued, "you may have unveiled something we overlooked ourselves. The true purpose of the orb." "It wasn't just about evaluating humanity's readiness," Ilara whispered, realization dawning in her eyes. "It was about uniting our worlds. Not through some grand decree or cosmic shift," Rourke finished, "but through understanding, through connection. Through love," Ilara breathed. The presence shimmered with something akin to approval. "The barriers between worlds need not be walls. They can be bridges, if constructed with wisdom and understanding." "Are you saying?" Rourke began. "We offer you a choice," the presence interrupted. "Continue your shared endeavor. Become the bridge between worlds. Guide others along the path you've forged, as temporal troubleshooters." Rourke grinned. "Solving cosmic crimes across time and space, with occasional breaks for interspecies cultural exchange?" "And perhaps," the present suggested, a hint of playfulness in its tone, "for further investigation into the nuances of interspecies compatibility." Ilara's skin flushed a deeper emerald. "Oh, they are never going to let me live that down, are they?" Not in this timeline, or any other, Rourke chuckled. The source chamber shifted, offering glimpses of new adventures, new mysteries, new worlds to connect. But Rourke's focus remained on Ilara, on the future reflected in her luminous eyes. "Partners?" he asked softly. Her answer was to pull him close, her lips warm and familiar against his. Around them, the universe seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what came next. When they finally parted, Rourke couldn't resist. "So that's what kissing an interstellar being is like." Ilara groaned, but she was smiling. "Just for that, you're buying dinner. In whatever century we choose to visit next." The architect's presence faded, leaving them with their ship, their shared mission, and each other. The orb had transformed, not just a key between worlds, but a promise of adventures to come. "Ready to save the universe?" Ilara asked, her hand outstretched. "With you," Rourke replied, taking her hand without hesitation. "I'm ready for infinity." The ship hummed to life, carrying them towards the next chapter, a testament to the truth that sometimes the greatest discoveries are not found in time travel or alien technology, but in the connection between hearts, human and interstellar.